Diary of a Yeti by Grieveson. To Everest and the men who tried to climb her. Introduction. Everest. The name has fascinated me since my childhood. I was in Asia 5 years ago and intended to go to Nepal, but it didn't happen. Fate ordained otherwise, and I had always regretted it. It was therefore with the greatest of pleasure that I found myself in the spring of 1974 flying to Nepal. It's a pity that I can't inform the reader of the exact circumstances and accidents which brought me once more to the roof of the route, but I have taken a vow of silence. Suffice it to say that 48 hours after my arrival in Kathmandu, I was a free man left with the stench of the bazaar, the flies of Asia, $500, and a childhood dream. From that moment I was on a pilgrimage to the highest mountain of the world. Of course, it would be impossible to climb to the top. I had neither the funds nor the experience. However, I was determined to reach base camp at 18,000 feet and pay my respects to this awesome wonder of the world and to the men who have tried to climb her. This diary is about my experiences in Kathmandu and the month-long journey to the foot of Everest. It was written during the trek, and for the most part is unrevised. It contains a little of everything, from politics to economics, from trekking information to personal experiences. I'm indebted to Pope for his unique illustrations, and Jacqueline Hausseau for her precise photographs, Jim Rutt, Robert Valouz, and Bridget Askel for their fine poetry. Also, I'd like to thank my porters, Cully and Ganchi. I am happy to call them my friends. May 17th, 1974, Kathmandu. From here, there. To twist and turn, intertwine and race, fall down to stand again, strikes and retreats, smile and snarl, to walk straight in a circle, to be soft and hard, flexibility to flutter, freely, so free, free, of this and that, so free that you flow on with rhythm, till you float to the surface, as a bubble, explosion, then, and only then, fly. April 10th, 1974. The normal tourist visa for Nepal is 2 weeks. I've already been in Kathmandu for a week. Yesterday I went down to the immigration office. It always blows my mind, a room full of Western freaks with a handful of straight Nepalese officials, and got my visa extended till May 17th. I also got a trekking permit for Lukala, Namche, and Base Camp Everest. Sitting in the Tibetan cafe, drinking tea and smoking, and watching the sunlight play in the street. The Western music playing on the tape cassette is a strange contrast to the red mud brick Nepalese houses. It's warm out, even tropical. Hard to remember it might be snowing back in Canada. Come to think of it, it'll be snowing on top of Everest as well. Yesterday I woke up with a sore throat. By nightfall, I had a chill and fever. The most irritating part was a continually running nose. I've been smoking some opium, 10 rupees per tola, about $1 for a large 1/4 ounce, to help me sleep. I picked up a clay pipe in one of the shops. It looks like a giant salt shaker, with a mouth hole at the top and a pinpoint hole in the side about halfway down. You stick a tiny ball of opium in the hole, press it flat and pierce the center with a knife point. Then you hold the pipe sideways and breathe in the flame of the candle. April 17th, 1974. I just made coffee outside with the kerosene stove. I'm renting a large room in a big yellow house in Swayambhu for about 200 rupees, about $10 per month. It has a tile floor, plaster walls, and a wooden plank ceiling. Windows and cupboards are recessed into the walls. The windows have screens, horizontal bars, and wooden shutters. The landlord seems to employ 3 to 4 gardeners, and the garden is a blaze of tropical color. There's a fish pond, a tall Buddhist shrine which several people visited several times a day, and narrow paths leading to multi-terraced flower beds. One has a tremendous view of Kathmandu Valley. On top of the highest hill in Swayambhu lies a Buddhist monastery. There is a long stone staircase up the hill. Small monkeys spring audaciously across your path. At the very top there is a central temple with a gold-plated dome. Red, green, yellow, blue cloth rags hung from stupa to stupa. Monks, there are 143 of them, wander around the temple square wearing orange sadhu cloth and maroon robes. Some of them come over and talk to me. They seem friendly but very shy. Around the sides of the temple are prayer drums or wheels. Inscribed with text, they rotate freely when pushed. Another sign of devotion is to ring a large silver bell. April 12, 1974. Kathmandu Valley is a quiltwork of luscious green crops and trees. The surrounding hills are reddish-brown in color. Red brick houses dot the hillside right to the top. The terraced footpaths and garden give it the engraved appearance of a Tibetan prayer wheel. I went for a walk through the village this morning and bought some ganja from a couple of boys. The package looks like a rather large ear of corn, the husk being made of dried golden brown banana leaf and tied tightly with braided straw. Tightly packed greenish gold ganja forms the inner core of the cob. The whole thing, close to a quarter pound of Nepalese ganja, cost 17 rupees, about $1.60 US. Last night a Danish friend made an earth pipe. A big fire was lit in the backyard. Nearby 2 holes were dug in the ground about a foot apart. The ground in between was watered heavily. The open end of the chillum was stuck in one hole and about an ounce of hashish in the other. Then, with almost religious care, he outlined the pipe with flowers. Glowing coals from the fire were put on top of the hash to keep it lit. April 13th, 1974. Chu and his brother Cully are Nepalese friends who claim to be Tibetan. In a horse trade a few days ago, I gave him 70 rupees for a silver ring with a coral stone, and 2 cheap suitcases for a silver bracelet and engraved silver Tibetan change box with turquoise stone. He and his family came back repeatedly to see if there was anything else I needed, and finally I said a woman. Chu was anxious to be helpful, and in fact he brought somebody around at 4 p.m. yesterday, but as luck would have it, I was out. This afternoon we decided to go to her house instead. This time she was out. Cully knew of a place, so we went there. From the outside it looked like a chow house, but the old woman motioned for us to go up the railed board stairs. At the top were 2 pretty young girls, and I was told to take my pick. I chose the more slender of the 2, and she led me to a small dark room. When the door was shut, it was completely black, until she nudged open the wooden shutters, just enough to distinguish shapes. The room was barely 5 by 6 with a dry clay floor. There was a single straw mat and pillow on the floor. Her hand urged me down. I resisted long enough to divest my clothing. She didn't undress, but her firm tiny breast came into play, and the skirt moved aside to reveal her naked legs and buttocks. What happened next I leave to the reader's imagination. Suffice it to say, the East is not unlike the West in these matters. I ran into an interesting fellow back at the Tibetan cafe. His pen name is Pops. His real name is P. Janet. A French songwriter, artist, and all-round hustler. He came to Nepal overland. When I asked him why he was in Nepal, he answered, "If a caterpillar doesn't crawl out of its cocoon, he will never become a butterfly, and that's what most people are, caterpillars." Pops became the major visual contributor to this book. April 14th, 1974. Today is New Year's Day, also the year 2031 in the Tibetan calendar. 2031 years since Buddha's birth in Lumbini.